to your natural self, when you get into your center, like finding your center, finding balance, when you get into your natural self, that's when the universe sort of opens up to you. Is that what I was talking about?
Well, that wasn't the right phrase, but it's close, and I still like it. But you used a phrase, the natural something.
Your natural vibrational frequency?
No. It was just really in the flow, what you said.
I'm trying to think. Natural. I said natural self.
Yeah, and it's like you used one more word, but that's my thing. I just really wanted that phrase. It was just a phrase I really loved.
I don't know. I can't. Wow, I can't.
Okay. I do this all the time when people say, I don't know. I'm like, oh, I know. I should just move on. I know I should just move on.
Let me ask you, how often do you get angry?
Well, why do you ask?
Because I talked to you one day on the phone, and you didn't seem angry at me, but you seemed kind of angry about the thing with the dog or something. This was like a couple weeks ago. I hadn't heard from you in a few days, and we talked, and I hadn't heard you sound like that. You just seemed like you were angry at the I don't think it was specifically that. I think it was just other stuff, like, you know what I mean? Different sorts of stuff, it seemed like. But you were angry, and usually you don't seem angry, so I was just wondering how often you get angry.
Well, I've been angry my whole life because I don't have a friend to talk to about aliens, I mean, I'm not interested in that entertainment stuff. None of that was interesting to me. I've been, like, unhappy because I don't have a natural friend that are naturally, like, yeah, this is a friend, Our interests are just the same.
Right.
It's not easy to find it. Look, I'm getting upset now. You see why? You understand?
Yeah.
I started getting angry when I think about the long suffering road of not having a friend. I mean, I tried to make friends with these people with wearing blue eyeshadow and eyeliner, and I hated it. Like, I don't want to be a friend with a girl who wears blue eyeshadow.
I feel where you're coming from. This is what I don't get.
And they eat crap? Come on. Like, where's my people at? It's hard to be alone, not have...
Yeah. This is...
I want to share my thoughts with.
Right.
My natural thoughts, the real ones. The natural me, whatever you said. I love the word natural.
Your natural self?
Your soul.
Right.
Your vibration, yourself.
Yeah.
Natural you before you got suffering around you and pain.
Right. This woman, she was asking me earlier, I was texting with her, and she was talking about her daughter didn't want to go to school, and she was saying something about her daughter. It seemed like she didn't want to be at the school, and I was saying it's obvious. It's probably the teachers, just the atmosphere. Like when you're smaller, somebody who's a greater adult, they carry a heavier vibration. And most of the people, I think most of the teachers who work at, a regular school or whatever, they come in there, they're probably frustrated or whatever, just like anybody else. The way the public school system is set up. Not trying to bad talk the school, but I don't. You know what? I can't say that because she didn't say it was a public school system, so I can't even say that. But it's just something about the nature of people in society. There's just already a stigma there and an attitude there. And so for a child to grow up under these greater adults, the vibration stuff, they pick up on it. Children are naturally, younger people are naturally more spiritual and stuff. And so if they're going to have to face somebody who's unhappy or doesn't really want to be at the work, or just the way they teach, and stuff. No, who wants to go to that? In reality, nobody wants to. That's why a lot of these children end up on drugs. If not psychiatric drugs from a prescribed doctor, they end up on street drugs just to sit through the classroom because none of them really want to be there.
Yeah.
That's just the honest truth. None of them really want to be there. And the people who, you know, a lot of people, if they have the money, they send their children to these really private schools and special schools, you know. But for the people who can't do that, they wonder why the children don't want to be there. They want to be somewhere that has more spiritual value and more quality to it, and
they want to be creative.
Right, and they can't speak up for themselves because they're too young. They're either too intimidated to say how they feel, or they're not really sure what to say, so they just don't want to go. They just reject it altogether. And so that's basically what I was trying to explain. But I was trying to explain more of a thing like vibration. Like maybe, you know, if a parent has lucid dreaming music or meditation music at night, or I was suggesting like crystals and things like that, trying to come up with a creative way where you can introduce spirituality in a way, because it's all spiritual stuff. People, you know, in a classroom, they don't, like, you can't pray, you can't use any, they don't even pray in schools anymore. You can't pray in a school. There's really no relationship with spirit. It's all like this by the book. This is right, this is wrong. The most they'll go is psychological. Then they'll try to introduce a drug to the child. And so it doesn't really, none of it makes much sense to me as to you know, who's benefiting from it. You know, that's the question I struggle with. But I can't really, you know, I'm nobody to judge anybody. That's just my insight into it. But
I keep going back to this because this is the only information I have. It's about how, you know, the new world order is all taking over the education, and it's all about turning people into what they want to turn people into, to become slaves.
yeah, I think, you know, honestly, I think the adults are, I think the people, like people who have the children, it's like a lot of them aren't paying attention. They're not putting any spiritual input into it. It's like they're all over entertained. They don't really care to a degree. It's easier to not say anything or try to change anything. Most people won't. Most people, they'll see something on the news, that's what happened. Or if something's in a textbook, that's what happened. And they won't do anything to try to alter that. And it's the consensus reality. I think what it is the consensus reality. Most people won't want to go against the consensus reality unless they're told specifically by the consensus reality that it's okay not to go against it. But the consensus reality is just be over entertained. It's okay to put your children on drugs. Don't be spiritual. Leave consciousness at the door. You know, but that's not my consensus reality, though. I think I'm kind of like you. I don't look at that stuff as having any real power to it, really. I look at it as more by choice. Like these people are choosing to decide what they want for themselves. It's all by choice, really. I don't really see anybody being forced to do anything. Everybody's agreeing to you know.
Right, but they're not conscious like you would need to be able to see that this is ugly, this is bad. You know, I see a commercial as I'm a kid and I'm like, commercials, these are horrible are
Right.
horrible. The Bismarck was horrible. I know. Newspapers are horrible. I know. Mr. Rogers is good.
Yeah, okay, I see what you...
I know this macaroni and cheese is fucked up. I know that. because I cannot get enough of it, and I feel like I'm in a sleep coma afterwards. This is not healthy. I know this is not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was sick all the time, so it's called a highly sensitive person. You've heard that term?
Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm talking about. Is people are highly sensitive. That's why so many. See, this is. I'm glad you brought that up. That's why there's so many people on drugs right now. That's why so many people want to be high off of drugs. Is because they are sensitive to what's going on.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people will see a younger person, a teenager, or somebody even younger perhaps, on a lot of drugs. And they'll be like, oh, what's wrong with them? They're a drug addict. They're just really sensitive to what's going on around them. And they want to be on drugs. They want to be high.
Both of my brothers are drug users. And they're both, one's in prison and one's in jail right now.
And but growing up though, would they have been different though? Had they been shown a more... Were they raised with you?
Yeah.
Okay, would they have been different? You think things would have been different, though? Had the atmosphere been different a little bit?
I would think so, yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Everything is set up... Well, I think it's really easy for people to not go with what they really want to do. It's set up perfectly. It's really, really, really easy to not go with your own natural instincts and do what you really want to do with your life. To not be more spiritually inclined. Everything is provided.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just check out and take the easy route.
Right.
Not to go for your dreams, not to assert yourself.
Right, exactly.
You don't have to act on your passion or desire.
Yeah. That's what I more see. Is it's very simple, not to go the way you really want to go, because you know if you're being yourself, you're going to remind everybody around you that they're not being themselves. That's the first thing that's going to happen. The moment you're being honest and you're being in the truth, the people around you are going to say, wait a minute, wait a minute, this person's being honest and telling the truth, but we're not in it, that's going to be, they're going to be like, first of all, it's threatening to people. And then second of all, they're going to look at you like, wow, man, like this is, like this person, it's not you, it's the messenger. It's not, you know what I mean? It's more the messenger. Like you're telling people, you can do what you want to do, you can get in tune with yourself, blah, 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 blah. And they don't want to do that. For whatever reason, they don't want to do that, and so they're looking at you like you're doing wrong just because you're exemplifying through your actions, your lifestyle, information, you're telling people, you're encouraging people to go a certain way. Now they're looking at you like you're a bad person. You're following the truth. You're a bad person. And so that's basically what it is. That's exactly what it is. And so it's more easier not to do that. It's more easier to just like check out, so to speak. If you the more you go into the truth and the more you start to figure stuff around you out, the more of a threat you become. You'll become the biggest threat in the world if you start expressing the truth.
Is that what happened to you?
I don't know what happened to me. I don't, you know, I just know the,
Are you saying that to me because that was your experience?
yeah, that's the experience I've had on this planet. Is the more in the truth you are, the more, it can be any truth. I'm not talking about anything specific. I'm just saying the more truth that you give out, the more uncomfortable the people around you will get. And
Unless they resonate with the truth, then they will light up, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. If you can get a group of people around you who resonate with the truth, then you're in the house. Then
Yeah.
you're in the house. Then
I'm in the house.
right, right. That's why. See, that's why it's becoming like trendy now. I think like alternative types of perspectives, esoteric research is kind of becoming a trend a little bit, and so I think it's becoming a phase, so to speak, for people to kind of halfway do it. Like you and me, we talk about spirituality and all this stuff full time, but I think it's sort of a phase the public is going through right now about getting more in tune and questioning stuff. They're sort of going through a phase. Like 20, 30 years ago, most people didn't care. They didn't want to talk about anything that was questioning anything. There was always still a few people who did, of course. Like there was still enough people around to write books and stuff for. There always has been, but now it's become a phase like Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. You never would have saw that on the History Channel 20 years ago. Not like it is now.
Can you talk softer?
Oh, I'm sorry. On the Ancient Aliens and all this stuff, it's becoming more of a trend now for people. Like the public's starting to get more hip to questioning different perspectives. And so it's becoming more like, kind of like a cool type thing, which isn't bad either, though. I don't think that's a bad thing. But why? What do you think? Just in general, do you think, like when it comes to spirituality and all that stuff, and trying different practices and like going up against fears and doing different sorts of things to process through your life, do you feel you're far better off than more in the sense taking more easy ways out and not going with your natural?
Okay. Well, I just go back to the macaroni and cheese. Basically, when I was 4, I was really addicted to it, and I knew at 4 I started talking to myself saying, you have to get off of this stuff, or you're gonna be like your grandma. You're gonna be fat and die of, stomach cancer. So that's why I'm fasting, because I know if I don't, I'm not going to be healthy. I won't be able to survive.
Right.
Or I'll survive and I have a lot of pain and suffering. So for me, if I don't do the fasting, then I can't even enjoy meditating, because when I'm eating, I'm just want more food. I'm just sitting there lusting over food, sex, and wanting an apartment, and wanting shoes, and wanting money, and just wanting. But if I'm fasting,
right.
Everything just becomes about just sitting here in this chair. So all I gotta do is just sit here.
Yeah, it's been hard. It's been, like I can feel where you're coming from. I can tell you got a lot of pain that you're working through, and I can definitely feel you, like your experiences. Like with me too, it's been rough, man. I've had so much crazy stuff happen to me, and it's just like now I'm just in the place in my life to where I'm starting to reshape my vision of what I want for myself. But I've had almost every type of person against me, and obstacle and things like that. All kinds. Like I just feel like I'm just one person. And you know what I mean? It's like not normal. It's not normal for one person to have so many different types of things, and you know what I mean? And I'm just one person. And it's just like why does a man who doesn't have much going for himself and just one person have to deal with so much? And it's taken me into the spiritual world. It's taken me into finding my own power. And that's why I really get what you're saying.
To survive, you had to do it.
Well, yeah, to have a reality around you, to have a life around you where you can have an appreciation for life, you can have appreciation for yourself. You have to go deeper than the status quo. Like a movie and some popcorn isn't going to do it for me. I have to have a deeper appreciation for everyday life on Earth, more of a spiritual awareness of the people around me. The skills that the people have. I've learned to assess my life in a much different way than most people. And, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, but man, it's just crazy. It's really something. I used to I used to have a lot of different stuff I used to look into and stuff like that, and I'm at a point now to where I've had to erase so much out of my life, and just like now it's at a point to where I'm just starting to meet new people and talk to new people and get a better handle for what it really means to be in touch with yourself and be in touch with spirit. It's so big it's hard for me to put it into words. It sounds easier to say this stuff. Like when you say spirituality and the soul and energy and frequency, they're just words. And it sounds so simple. You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, people say these simple words like spirit and soul and energy and obstacles and challenges and fear and but they don't really know what that is. They don't really have the experiences behind these things to know what they actually mean. So a lot of people, there's people out there who do. There's people out there who do, but there's a lot of people where they're just vague concepts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they are. It's like trying to learn the language of just saying the words.
Right. Exactly right. They don't have the
depth of experience.
They don't. They have no. That's what. That's.
But they're interested, so they talk about it because it's like trying to close on and trying to make it happen by saying the words.
Yeah. Like the people are saying they want to face their fears. They want to deal with their life, and I'm not talking about you. I'm meaning just the general people that like people like the general people out there. But people say they want to face these different sorts of things. They want to go through stuff, and it's just something they say just because it sounds good. But when something
it's our fad, like tattoos. It's like the fad vocabulary now.
Right. And then when something comes up, they wouldn't know the first. You know what I mean? When they really have to face a fear, or they really have to go through something, they don't know. They'll run away. So quick. They don't know it. They haven't the slightest clue what it's like to be out there and really be trying to get in touch with yourself and what you're doing in the world, and just live here on earth in a spiritual way, and look for truth and stuff. They have it, to them it's just it's like a movie or something to them. It's not real to them.
Did something happen to you where you were trying to help someone and now you have like this frustration that here you were trying to teach them but they're not teachable?
No, not really. I mean, for years, man, I didn't mean to call you man, but I mean, for years, I used to go around and like sit there and talk to people and really get to know people and try to help people and stuff like that. That was my biggest thing. And I had so much material out there on the web, I ended up taking it all down. But I went through a lot. I went through a lot of different stuff to try to help people, and like, it's not anything that I feel like, my intentions were good, and, I wanted to do the right thing, and so I did what I felt was right. Like, I don't have any regrets. Like, I don't feel, there's some stuff I regret, but overall, though, I feel like for the most part, just me trying to help people, that's enough right there. It's what they do with it. But there's a lot of people out there who you go to and I don't know. I can't even explain it. Does it sound? I don't know how that sounds.
Like what I said, is you're a teacher and you've been trying to help people, but they're not teachable. And it's painful for you because you're investing your time and energy in people who aren't teachable. And as a teacher, you really need a student who's ready to grow. And that's what's going to turn you on to want to keep teaching them and make you grow as a teacher.
Yeah. Well, that's a part of it. But there's a lot of success stories. There's a lot of success stories though. There was one guy who I was helping, and he was at a real bad place in his life, and he was like I think he was vulnerable to suicide. I'm not exaggerating. He was at a real bad place in his life, and he was going through some things, and I was able to help him through that, and that made me feel really good. That maybe that's what then again though, maybe that's what it was all for. Maybe if you only reach one person or two people or a few people, that's all you need. You know what I mean? So and then like me and you talk. It goes pretty good. Like, you help me in a lot of ways. I perceive myself, maybe I help you in some ways, and so, but it is overwhelming,
You want mutually satisfying relationships.
Yeah. One of the biggest things, one of the biggest things about going out there, and it's like, I don't know if you've ever felt like this, but some of the things that have happened to you that have affected you the most, it's like it's stuff people have no idea in the world what kind of stuff people who look, I'm not trying to sound like I'm crying about it. I'm not crying about it. I'm just trying to, like, I'm not, oh, poor me and all this stuff. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying, people don't know the type of stuff you got to go through to really get serious about spirituality and help people with the truth. People have no idea in the world the types of things that you could go through. And, that's why, it's like, it's not just a thing. It's like, it's not a thing. It's more like a lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's like it's strange. It's strange because there's people out there who look at people who provide truth and insights for people and spirit. Like, why would they do that? And what do you mean? Why? It's a lifestyle. This is who these people are. They're looking to experience the world around them in a spiritual way and be in the truth and find new. Like, it's not a thing they do. It is who they are. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, they can't help. They can't help it. They're doing the best they're able to.
Right. That's what. It's like some people are born with certain types of things they do, certain types of gifts they have. Some people are born with the skills to be mathematicians. Some people are born. Everybody's born with a certain set of skills. You know, some people are intuitive and can see things, and they want to help other people discover more about themselves and be in the truth and stuff and learn. And everybody's born with different skills and a different trade they bring to the table. And it's just like the way the earth is, especially in the West, it's not so set up for that. You know?
Yeah, there's no awareness that we're snowflakes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 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 There's no awareness. But it's all good though. Like I started a painting not that long ago of a Kabbalah tree. And I just started it, and I've been coming along with it, and it's like I'm pretty happy the way it's going to turn out. I'm not really, like, I'm not an esoteric artist by trade. I've never done a painting in my life that has esoteric meaning to it, and this is the first one I'm doing. And I really don't know a lot about Kabbalah. I just started learning about Kabbalah not that long ago. And so I'm, like, hopeful, you know, I'll be proud of the first one, you know? And do you know anything about Kabbalah?
No, not really.
Is Jewish mysticism? And this rabbi was saying that all prophets were mystics. I heard a rabbi once say that all prophets were mystics or something in the Old Testament. I'm not religious, but I just thought it was fascinating that he would say that. And it's like you have the spiritual world, and then all the physical manifestations come from the spiritual world. But Kabbalah always starts off speaking about how there's nothingness, absolutely nothing, and then whatever definition we could give for God would be very limited. It would just be one definition, but it would be very limited and stuff. So it's kind of amazing. The more I was looking at Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah, the more it sounded kind of like the New Age type of people. You know, it's like the Kabbalah was saying the same stuff people on the internet are saying, who talk about channeling and all this stuff, and astral projection, metaphysics. It's like saying this. It's congratulating each other on the same concepts. And it's strange. You know what I mean?
You mean that it's popular? You mean that it's popular?
Yeah, it seems very. Kabbalah seems very popular.
Well, Madonna was the person who made it very popular.
Oh yeah. I seen that she. You know, it's funny because somebody earlier was telling me that Madonna had become Jewish, and I didn't know if Madonna was Jewish or not. Not that you have to be Jewish to be into Kabbalah. You don't have to be Jewish to be a Kabbalist. Like, you can study Kabbalah without being Jewish, of course. But I had seen that Madonna was into Kabbalah, so I kind of, I was like, wow, man, that's pretty cool.
So you have a reason for bringing it up.
Yeah, I was just saying that the a lot of the esoteric principles. Well, I was talking about the painting I was doing, but a lot of the esoteric principles that people in the so-called New Age movement talk about aren't really new at all. It's because when you look at when I was learning about Kabbalah, the stuff that people are saying now, people were already saying like a long time ago, but for some reason, it's weird when you look at history and you look at religions, you look at them as being really strict. But I guess only a few people practice Jewish mysticism, though. I guess it wasn't a thing to where a lot of people were open about Jewish mysticism. But the more I look into Jewish mysticism, it doesn't look so much like a strict religious practice. It looks more like a relaxed, open, spiritual type of form where people can discuss many types of things. Like there's no real manual, like you have to believe this and this and this. Kabbalah seems like a very more universal and free type principle. And that really... Huh?
But open.
Yeah, open. And that really surprised me. I thought it was going to be more like a Talmudic, like a Jewish Talmudic set of laws and rules type of thing. And then when I found out that it's really nothing like that at all. Not to speak bad about people who are Talmudic. Huh?
Like sharing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interchangeable. And I was like, it really impressed me. And so, yeah. But that's deep. It's deep. Isn't it crazy how we're alive on a planet and there's all these people and things and stuff? Isn't that tripped out?
Yeah, man, totally.
Sometimes I just sit there and trip off it. But no matter how bad, like honestly, my life, it you know what I mean? You know, I'm very like hopeful. Like it's pretty good. Like I have no room to complain. You know what I mean? Like I have no room to complain. Like I always envision, you know, like you have to put more effort into the stuff you do. You have to be vigilant. Like you have to put 110%, 120%. You know, I'll never let like one obstacle, define who I am. You know what I mean? Like if I've had some sort of, if I feel like I've had some sort of obstacle or some sort of thing happen to me where I perceive myself as not doing as good as I should have, then, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You know? Like the challenges you go through in life. Whatever, you know, you fall down and break your knee, like, or scrape your knee, you get back up and continue. Like, you really can't complain too much about it. You know what I'm saying?
Is that what your dad taught you?
No, my father didn't teach me that. I've just been learning that just over time. Actually,
That's just the natural you.
Yeah, actually, a boxer, there was a boxer I met when I was little, Muhammad Ali. I met him when I was about 6 or 7.
You think I don't know who Muhammad Ali is?
Yeah, I know you know who he is. I know everybody knows who he is, but
You talk to me like I'm an alien. There's this boxer. His name is Muhammad Ali.
Right. I'm sorry, but sometimes women, like a lot of women, are unfamiliar with boxing, but he is like famous beyond boxing, so of course you would know who he is. But I met him when I was like younger, and then I didn't really pay any attention to, I think in school, in middle school, I did a book report on him. But when I met him, I went to shake his hand and he gave me a hug. And I remember him from that time. I was like 6 or 7.
You got a hug from Muhammad Ali?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Isn't that cool?
Holy shit. I don't think this is what I'd rather get a hug from.
Yeah, and then later on in my life, when I was going through a lot of struggles and challenges, for some reason he came into my consciousness. Like,
Wow! Whoa!
Yeah, and then
How old were you when you met him?
6, 7, I think 7.
Whoa.
It was back in like 92.
Wow.
Yeah, but see, the thing about it is I really didn't know too much about his whole life. Like I just knew he was, you know, famous and a boxer and all that stuff. And so when I really, like later on in my life, when I started seeing the stuff he went through, and then I was like, wow, like he, like the people that he beat, or he went up, even if he didn't beat them, like he lost a lot of stuff too. But the people he went up against were always like supposed to be these bigger people and could always, like, man, he's gonna die. He's gonna George Foreman's gonna take him out. He doesn't have a chance. And then he was able somehow to grind through that and manifest through that and get through George Foreman. Same thing with the Thrilla in Manila. He was just a guy who went up against a lot of obstacles and challenges throughout his life. You know, he spoke out against the Vietnam War. For an athlete to do that of his stature, most athletes would never speak out against something like that if they were at that stature. He did that. He couldn't box for like 4 years, and he came back after that and did so. Watching him, it taught me to relate to the obstacles in my life, and taught me, you know what I mean, no matter what happens, no matter what happens, you know what I mean, you're still here, you're still working with spirit.
As we're talking, I'm getting excited and I want to interrupt you.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I'm thinking I shouldn't interrupt you because you're not done.
No, you can interrupt me. It's all good. But right, but that's what. Yeah, well, just watching some of the trials and tribulations and obstacles that he went through throughout his life just taught me that, you know what I mean? No matter what happens, you always have to, you know, maintain. You always have to maintain focus, learn from the mistakes you made, learn from the obstacles you've gone through. And, you know, that's what makes somebody, that's what makes the person who they are. You know, I think he said something like, champions aren't made in gyms. It's something that comes from within. And so, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of times I noticed his athletic ability didn't really win the fights for him. It was his consciousness and his spirituality and his mindset. And even if he lost, the funny thing is he lost some stuff and people were like, man, he's finished. Like, you know what I mean? He hasn't fought in 4 years and you know, they took his title out. It's over for him. And then the guy just comes back and goes through all this stuff and, you know, the obstacles. He moves on to face other stuff, other obstacles. And so that's kind of where, I'm sorry, I went on a long tangent, but that's kind of where I got that concept from.
Well, I was just dying to interrupt because I feel such desire to always I feel desire whenever I think of Muhammad Ali. I feel like, you know, I guess, you know, that you and I are from his soul family group or something, that we're dynamic. We're very dynamic.
Yeah.
You know, and he's very kind. He's very kind and he's funny, which is a big part of the kind of people I want to be in relationship with. Kind and funny and dynamic, because that's who I know I really am, you know. And
Yeah, he's a
he was such a good teacher with humor. You know, just kill people with humor. He just blast people away with humor. He just take over the room with his humor. He's just so funny.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Fearful.
Yeah, and the really weird thing is, I came across his stuff, and at the time I was going through a lot of obstacles of my own, and I started using some of his stuff in videos I was producing, and then he ended up passing away like 2 weeks after that. That was the crazy part, yeah. That was a tripped out part. I was tripped out.
So, these thoughts are going through my brain right now.
Hey, what about... Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
What were you going to say?
What's up for this spring and summer? You trying to Okay, I want to ask you the Frank guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're at right now?
So you're asking me